Good morning, everyone. I'm Nora Whittington, and I'm with the Immigration Partnership of Waterloo Region. And I'm here to bring greetings and also to introduce our guest speaker today. Just to let you know that the Immigration Partnership for Waterloo Region has existed for 15 years, and we're one of about, I think, 80 immigration partnerships now across Canada. And we're a community collaborative that is funded by the federal government to look at how we can bring about successful integration for immigrants and refugees in Waterloo Region. And we do that with a group of stakeholders from media, from business, from education, from the community, to look at the different issues like working and self-employment and housing and healthcare and a sense of belonging and inclusivity. And so we are continuously looking for people to get involved if you're interested at all. And if you're interested in knowing more about how to access immigrant and refugee talent, by all means, reach out to the Immigration Partnership. Today, I am introducing Douglas Grossfield. Douglas Grossfield was named as one of the top 100 executives of 2016 and is recognized as one of the top 25 disruptors in the global technology space, leading the charge beyond traditional IT challenges and revolutionizing the market. Long considered a tech evangelist, Douglas is a sought-after speaker as a thought leader in areas such as cybersecurity, cloud technologies, business continuity, disaster recovery. As president and CEO of Five Nines IT Solutions, Grossfield is bringing the breadth of his experience in the fast-paced world of technology services to bear in introducing another leading-edge IT services company. With his track record of building successful and rapid growth tech services companies, Five Nines IT Solutions will continue to provide best-in-class services and technologies to clients' businesses. Enjoy the session, everyone, and welcome, Douglas.
Well, thank you very much, Nora, for the introduction, and it makes me sound very important. But with that and $1.70, you get a medium coffee at Tim Hortons, I guess. I'd like to thank the Chamber as well as the Immigration Partnership for putting this event together. I know it can be a challenge to get bums in seats for these kinds of things at this stage of the game. Over the last number of years, we've all probably had enough of Zoom calls and Teams meetings and go-to webinars and that kind of thing. But so to all those attending today, we also appreciate you taking the time to spend a little time thinking about and talking about your businesses and how we might help you embrace technology in doing so. So, welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This will be a fairly informal session. We welcome your interaction and questions, and while we may not get to all your questions during our time together today, we're happy to have conversations with anyone attending or viewing the presentation as it is being recorded, so it will be available for people to view down the road. So I'm going to share my screen and show you the presentation. We'll talk a bit about each slide as we go through. It's meant to be, I know it's a weighty subject, but it's meant to be as lighthearted as we can make it. So I'm going to share a screen here. All right, so we'll jump right into the first slide. As the introduction that the Chamber has been sending out noted, this will be a talk about what do you need to look at in your business when it comes to how you use technology, the types of technologies that you've already invested in, what you perhaps should look at investing in to further your business goals, and how do you actually do that, and who can you work with to do those kinds of things. So, the first question that you should ask yourself is your IT strategy a proactive one or reactive? Perhaps never more so than today. The saying that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is critically important to consider in your IT strategy. Far more costly to clean up the mess afterwards than it is to prevent issues in the first place, to the extent that you can. So you need to have a plan, and you need to have strategies in place to be able to execute on that in every area of your business, not just technology. We're all familiar with doing these things when it comes to our financial well-being personally and within our businesses, where we employ the advice or seek the advice of experts when it comes to accounting and legal and human resources. And frankly, technology or IT is no different. We should be looking at it the same way. So are you willing to bet your business on, it's got a warranty or it's cheaper online? I'm not going to read all these points here. You can read it while I talk if you want. But the last thing you should be doing is, your cousin's brother's sister-in-law is the one that takes care of your IT, and while she's not trained in this field, she knows technology. So it's you should work with people that have both experience and training in the field. So I know we're all guilty of making excuses to justify our behaviors or our lack of action. That's why gym membership sales around January 1st are so frantic, but the attendance afterwards, not so much. At one time, we had a partnership with some expert business coaches. Thanks, Tony. I don't know if you're on the call, but a lesson that we found it was super important to learn and keep front of our minds was that a goal without an action plan was nothing more than fantasy. So you need to know where you go, because if you don't know your destination, then the direction you take doesn't matter so much. Talk a little bit about some risks. Frankly, the majority of breaches these days, when you read about them in the news or hear about them, they come from internal threats. And obviously the outside world, the bad guys out there, they certainly are active and getting more so all the time. But inevitably, for them to be successful, it has to involve some type of an internal threat or breach. Sometimes that's a hardware failure, as we note here. It could just be a small fire in the building and the sprinklers went off and everything got ruined, and oops, now what? What do we do? Or user error. Everybody's accidentally deleted a file. So stuff happens. And we've all had moments where technology leaves us looking for the tequila bottle or lake to throw the computer into. But technology is so deeply embedded in nearly everything that we do, personally and professionally, that we need to ensure our investment in that technology is properly protected. So are you aware of the risks? From the outside perspective, you've probably all gotten scam emails and fraudulent emails where somebody, whether it looks like it's coming from your CEO or the owner of your company and asking you to do something or provide some information, or perhaps it's from a person a company you do business with, a vendor that you order things from. They come from all these sources, ostensibly, and they're in all likelihood not coming from them, but they could actually be coming from a valid source because that company has been compromised. So we call these phishing attacks. That's really what they're doing. They're phishing. They're looking for information. Smishing is they do it via text messages or SMS messages. That's why I call it smishing. And even through mediums like Zoom and Teams and other video platforms, that's called phishing. And it basically uses a technology or a methodology called social engineering, which is human interaction trying to convince you to do something that you shouldn't be doing. you click on a link in an email, it pops up and it says, oh, here's the information that you requested, or here's the purchase order, or here's the EFT so we can pay you. Please, and it pops up and asks you for your username and password for your Office 365 or your Google account or whatever the case may be. You provide that information, and then it takes you to where you're supposed to be, and you see a document, and you don't really know that anything bad has happened. But in the background, they've just stolen your credentials. So ransomware, encryption or deletion of data. I don't know if anyone on the call today has had an experience like that, but it's very common. And once it happens in a heartbeat, you can't open something and then close it quickly and think that you got away with it. It's in the blink of an eye. It can infect your system, and it immediately looks to infect everything you're connected to. So all other computers on your network in the company, if you're at home in your home office and you are connected to your company with a VPN, it's going to go through that VPN and infect all the systems at your office. If you store data in the cloud, whether that's in Google Drive or Dropbox or OneDrive, SharePoint, Office 365, it can spread out to those locations and infect those as well. Malware, email spoofing, we talked a bit about that when I talked about phishing emails, but it can look very authentic, and it can come from somebody who you know very well that's in your contact list, and thus you're probably going to inherently trust what they're saying, but you shouldn't. So considering all of those things, the scary world outside, our businesses and our homes, the dark web, the threat actors, the bad guys out there, as well as the internal stuff, the mistakes and the errors, or the lack of investment in your technology. All of those things add up over time, and we don't need to feel bad about the state of how we use our technology or how outdated things might be, or I call it Frankenstein IT. It evolves into what it is, and there's never a better time than the present to have a look at it. So what do? You want to take care of business. So your business, it's time for an IT checkup. So let's talk a little bit about what that could mean. IT checkups consist of somebody with expertise reviewing the state of the nation, if you will. So workstations and printers. Do you know what you have? What are you doing in these areas? Is it enough? Do you check, update, test, and validate, practice these things regularly? It's one thing to have purchased a bunch of hardware and software and using it day to day, but if you don't keep it up to date, you're really exposing yourself to risks and failures. And when something goes down, then you can't do what you're supposed to do, and you're losing money. So security, firewalls, endpoint protection, these things are critical table stakes to have on every device that touches your network. So you think about, you might have a desktop in your office, and you've got a laptop that you carry back and forth to meetings, or a tablet, or you take it home with you. You've got a smartphone. All of these things are connecting to your wireless networks. Are those wireless networks properly secured? Do you have endpoint protection on all of those devices, not just the free antivirus software that came with your computer, as an example? Proper endpoint protection is critical. And when it comes to things like the sanctity of your data, most of our businesses, we create all kinds of data, whether it's marketing material, customer-facing information, internal processes, recipes, designs, intellectual property, all of these kinds of things. They all have a lot of value to our businesses, and if it all just poof disappeared because something bad happened, whether it was the fire in the building and the sprinklers ruined the systems, or just hardware failure, or somebody broke into your office and stole the computers, or you got ransomware and it was all encrypted, and you're faced with paying $250,000 worth of Bitcoin to be able to get your data back. And do you get your data back? When you get it back, does it have a payload in it that's just going to re-encrypt it? And these are all scary thoughts that'll keep you up at night. So you need to think about disaster recovery. And it sounds like, oh, I'm not going to have a disaster. It's not going to happen to me, but it does happen. For all of those reasons that we've talked about today so far, if something bad does happen, what are you going to do? What's the plan B? And do you go through that process? If you need to suddenly uplift a half a dozen people or 20 or 50 because the building you're in has had some type of a structural issue or a fire, and you need to get those people in chairs somewhere with a computer system and a telephone so that they can start continue doing business as usual. How does that happen? In what order do you do things? What are the vendors that you need to talk to, and the suppliers and service providers to be able to get those people doing what they need to be doing? And how do you practice that? Where are they going to actually do that? So these are all things, practice like you play. You need to go through an annual simulation and just kind of run through the processes. So if and when something bad does happen, you're not caught by surprise. So what eggs do you have in your basket? How mission critical is this stuff? Can I survive without access to it for a week, a day, an hour? How long can you go with manual processes if you lost access to your technology? You think about it in its most basic sense. It's a combination of hardware, software, and the content or the data that you're creating. Those things should be critical to your business. So how do you choose a technology partner? And when you're thinking about, well, I see the need, I could use an IT checkup. Who do I talk to? What do I look out for? There's no one size fits all. In a simplest sense, I would say just email help@five9sit.ca. Thanks for attending. But there's more to it than that. It's kind of, now's the time to start your research and do your homework. As I said, there's no one size fits all answer to the question. Depends on your industry. If you're in healthcare or the legal industry, or manufacturing, or retail, there may be different needs based on the type of business you have, or the size of business you have, the technologies you use, and you might want to consider those things when you're looking at a technology partner. So you want to check out their reputation. Research them thoroughly before you make a decision. Everybody does online reviews, and you can get references and customer testimonials. So look at those things and look for them, because the IT world, unfortunately, there are a lot of people hanging a shingle on the wall providing IT services that probably shouldn't be doing it. And unfortunately, once you've been taken advantage of, or entered into some type of a long-term agreement with a partner like that, it can be difficult to get out of. So do your homework. Do they have a comprehensive solution? Do they have recommendations that speak to current needs, burning issues that you might be having within your organization that could be mitigated or resolved by the proper use or the proper setup of your technology investments, as well as the future goals? That technology partner should be aligned with you and working with you to help you figure out down the road, where do you want your business to go? What are your growth plans, expansions, mergers, acquisitions? When you buy another company, you're getting all of their technology and all of their problems as well. And it becomes a bit of a love me, love my dog scenario, where now you've got to deal with that too. So you should have a technology partner that's strategically looking at that stuff with you, as opposed to just simply answering the phone when you call with a problem, because now you're just reacting to everything. You're not really getting value that way. How easy are they to work with? You know, we tend to be pretty easy to work with. You've probably all met the techie that shouldn't be involved with people, and the personality is lacking a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're a service industry as well, and if we're not interacting with people effectively, and when you need your technology partner to get involved with an issue, your stress level is probably pretty high, and you want to get to a resolution as quickly as you can. So you better be dealing with people that can help you to minimize the stress, and make sure that you're confident that they can affect a resolution and get you back to business as usual as quickly as possible in the event of a problem. But if they're doing their job right, those kinds of peaks and valleys should be minimized, and your technology environment should be stable and predictable and reliable. So make sure they're a good fit for your business. Do they have experience directly related to your industry? These are there's a lot of different software out there, packages that are specific to industries, but there's some commonalities too. When we start to think about how does any company use technology effectively, and what kinds of tools are they using, everybody, regardless of industry, should have a secure network, a stable network, a reliable network. That means internet providers. I don't know how many of you on the call today are Rogers customers, but everybody, even if you're not a Rogers customer, you've heard about the issues with Rogers going down across our entire country not that long ago, and that had a long effect on many people. You need to have, perhaps consider a secondary internet connection with a different provider. Now you've got Rogers and Bell. If one goes down, the other one just takes over, and you don't notice the disruption at all. Those things can be very inexpensive to do, but there's a few complexities that you need to have in place, and somebody that knows how to set them up, so that your firewall, which is another necessary piece of that secure network, your firewall knows how to handle having those two internet connections. So if all you have is a Rogers router or a Bell modem that they were provided to you when you got the internet connection, then you're really exposing yourself to risk, because you don't have a proper firewall. So, and that doesn't matter what industry you're in. As I said, you need to have that secure network, which means properly protected perimeter security with a firewall, intrusion prevention, technology in place that handles things like data leakage protection, so that if somebody does click a link in an email that they shouldn't have, and it installs keystroke loggers, or records everything you type on your keyboard and sends it out, or it searches your network for keywords like MasterCard and Visa and American Express, and all the client information that you've stored over years and doing business with your customers, all of a sudden gets sent back out somewhere. And those things have value on the dark web, so they will sell that information. All you need to take over somebody's identity is their name, their email address, their name, their physical address, their email address, and a credit card number, any number of things, and they all have value. So if you're not and the protections that you have to have in place to protect you against that kind of thing and being sued for the privacy breach is data leakage protection technology. So it looks at what's going in and out of your network, and it helps to strip that information right out of there to say, well, no, that stuff's not supposed to go out. And that's important, because when you think about, you probably all had conversations with your insurers at this point about, you've got commercial general liability, you might have um, errors and omissions insurance. There's all kinds of insurance in the business, but cyber protection insurance is something that's growing in popularity, and obviously the need for it is there. If your business is disrupted, if you are breached and somebody sues you, because that does happen more and more every day. If you get a breach and it's just something as simple as an email, and as a result, one of your business partners, your vendors, your supply chain, your customers ends up getting an email, they fall for it, and now they're breached, you'll be named as in the lawsuit. So cyber insurance is designed to protect us against these kinds of things, but they'll look at you and they'll ask the hard questions if you do have a breach. Are you employing these technologies, data leakage protection, firewalls, endpoint protection, intrusion prevention and detection? If you're not doing those things, they're not going to pay for your insurance claim related to the cyber incident. So again, ounce of prevention, pound of cure kind of stuff. So you need to have computers that work, that are patched and up to date all the time, so that it becomes like a set of screwdrivers to a mechanic. It's just a tool for you to do what you're supposed to be doing. So the right technology partner is going to look at all of these things that are common regardless of industry, but also be able to speak specifically to, hey, we're a law office and we have software that helps us track our billable hours and disbursements and all that kind of stuff. Or we're in the healthcare industry. We have some very specific privacy things that we have to deal with from a healthcare perspective. So security considerations are different. These things are layered on top of that common technology need are these industry specific things. So if you're in an industry that has very specific needs, look for a technology partner that has experience in those fields. They have a proven track record. I like to think of it as some skin in the game. It should be a partnership from the technology partner's perspective. It's not just a revenue stream. So you need to choose a partner that's fully committed to helping you move forward and mutual investment in your long-term success, because switching horses in midstream, if you have to change to a different technology partner in a few years because you've outgrown them or determined that they're not really meeting the need, that can be risky. It can also be expensive. So
Sorry to interrupt, Douglas. I think your audio is still not working.
All right, I've switched to a different set. Are you guys able to hear me now? All right, perfect. Sorry about that. It wouldn't be a technology presentation if technology didn't bite us in the butt at least once. So I apologize for the missing information there. I'm not sure how much, at what point the audio dropped off on me there, but I probably had some really wonderful things to say there, and now I've got to try to remember what they were, but we'll just continue on. It is just after 11:30 here. So I'll provide the slides to everybody anyways. And if there's any questions, if there's anything that you missed hearing about, then I'd be happy to expand on that individually whenever necessary, at your convenience. So we were talking about proactive computer service. Is it a cost or an investment? And for all the reasons that I talked about, it's definitely an investment to make sure that your technology is doing what it's supposed to do. So budgeting, these things all have a cost, obviously, and you're as a rule of thumb, I've found over the years in working with companies from 1 or 2 people to multinational organizations with 10,000 plus users. The general rule of thumb is that your IT budgeting in its entirety, and IT is not just the cost of a computer, it's the cost of everything related to technology, whether that's phones, computers, and network equipment, the services related to that, from the different providers like Bell or Rogers, all of those things, the maintenance of those things, the replacement of them eventually, all those things you have to budget for. It typically ends up being about 2% of your annual revenue. And, that's a wet finger in the air estimation, but it historically has ended up in and around that number. So when you start to plan, you need to think about what's the road look like for your technology. How long is that runway? If you bought a new computer and you spent $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever you purchased, you bought a computer, how long does that act? How can you expect it to last for you before it becomes something that creates more pain than it resolves problems? We've all had those moments where throughout the day as you're working and the computer is so slow or the network's so slow, and it's frustrating when you extrapolate that out across your workforce. If you have 20 people in an office that are all wasting 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day with technology issues or performance, the computer slow, the network slow, you add those numbers up on an annual basis, and you think about, wow, that is a massive loss in productivity, and there's dollars associated with that. So if you don't understand those things in your business, the revenue per head model, if you have $10 million annual revenue and you have 100 people doing it, then each one of those is responsible for $100,000 worth of that revenue. Then if they're 15% less effective because you're not using technology, and that's a loss of $15,000 in opportunity costs to your business per person per year, it's a lot less expensive to give them the right tools. So plan, prepare, maintain, update, upgrade, they're all important considerations. But you have to plan for the worst and be able to handle the costs of the unexpected stuff, because as we've just seen, it is technology after all, and things that you expect to work don't necessarily always work. So what kind of questions should you ask a potential technology partner? Here's some food for thought for you in your deliberations.
understanding what kind of technology platforms or tools that technology partner uses, because they should be using some level of automation to install agents on your computers that will automatically detect issues, resolve it if they can through some form of automation without having to involve a human being for tech support. It does patching and updating. You probably heard of managed services. That's something in our industry that has been growing in popularity over the last 10 years, is the ability to provide you as the customer with IT as a service. And that means you can have that some level of cost certainty in terms of how much does it cost to have a technology partner do this for me, but also you don't need to worry about those unexpected issues because it's a very proactive approach. Computers can be frustrating, but they're also very uniquely designed to do things like predictive failure analysis, as an example, where the computer itself makes that determination based on research and development and testing and quality control from the manufacturers to say, well, this hard drive that's in this computer has what they call a mean time between failures, so an expected failure date or shelf life, and it will look at errors on the hard drive and the performance degradation and wear and tear and age of the components, and it will actually predict pretty accurately when it's expected to fail and can warn you in advance before that thing fails and you lose all your data. Using the right tools and platforms is critical. Ask the questions, and if you don't understand the answers, ask them more questions. And talk to others and hold their feet to the fire when it comes to what they say they can do for you. So, what experience do they have in deploying these technology solutions? If you're thinking, my golly, my competitors in my industry are talking a lot about investing in, let's just pick voice over IP as an example. So instead of paying Bell for your traditional phone lines and having a phone system in a closet somewhere in your office and lines running to the phones, now all of a sudden you can be doing what we're doing right now, talking with a headset on through your computer over the network, a phone on your desk that's also connected to the network. It sends the voice traffic over the internet. If you're thinking, well, I really want to invest in this, but I don't know what choices to make. Hello, technology partner. How much experience do you have in deploying voice over IP solutions? And if they, depending on their answer, they may not be very comfortable with it. So what you're thinking about doing, what kinds of technologies you're hoping to invest in or thinking you might need to invest in, talk to them, talk to your technology partner and find out, do they have experience in these areas or not? Because you don't want it to be an experiment for them on your dime. Ask them about their approach and their thoughts on the role of technology in business. And strategically, what does the roadmap look like for technology? What's coming down, down the pipe that we might be interested in that might help us to meet our goals as a company? Those things are critical conversations to have on an ongoing basis with any technology partner. So find out what their approach is, and before you enter into some type of arrangement with them. So beyond maintenance, which is a very necessary and proactive activity in your business, what can a true technology partner do for your business? What are you doing now, or what are you having done by somebody now that could be better or more efficiently and effectively done by an IT partner? So if you see this a lot in smaller businesses, the accounting person is the one that ends up taking care of the technology and making technology decisions, or Joe out in shipping. He's a regular little technical guru and loves computers and gaming. So we have him set up all of our stuff. Is that the right approach to and the best use of that person's time and abilities to be able to spend X number of hours a week working on these things and figuring it out as they go? Or can you pay somebody 15 minutes of their time as an expert to get it done right the first time and keep it going reliably? So it's getting the best bang for your buck is critical. And if you're working with a technology partner, obviously the expectation is that this isn't their first rodeo and that they're have a lot of experience working in the industry, and they can do things a lot more effectively. One of the learnings over many years of being in the technology industry is that our realization, perhaps is more accurate, we're uniquely positioned by virtue of being in and out of so many different types of businesses, so many different sizes, locations, natures of businesses that we see a lot, and we learn a lot about what works best in certain industries. And if you're in the manufacturing space, physically where you put in your computer systems, there's a lot of dust in the air. So if it's a welding shop, those computers aren't going to last as long unless they're maintained because of the heat and the dirt. We actually had one customer that they made flavored water-based beverages, bubbly beverages with different fruity flavors in them and the like. Very successful, very large business. But they stored computer systems in a server room that was really just a closet with a key lock on it on the plant floor. And there was so much sugar in the air, molecules of sugar floating around from the manufacturing process, that once a year they would have massive failures on these systems, and because of the sugar settling down on the circuit boards inside the computers, and it would just short out. So it sounds silly, but you got to think about the environment that you're in and the role that plays in your technology decisions. Where do you physically put the stuff? So after technical support, what role does a technology partner actually play in my business? You don't want them to just be, as I said, somebody that picks up the phone when something is already broken and people are already unable to do what they're supposed to be doing, and give you that technical support. Well, that's critical, but what about the more strategic considerations? So can they help you either with internal expertise or by working to find you the right third-party partner to work on things like your website? If the website is a critical piece of your business and interactions with your customer base, then you want to keep that up to date and do content management so you can have product information and sales and specials and things like that you want people to be aware of. So your website is a great tool for these things. Are the right people maintaining that for you? Your technology partner should be able to make sure that you're working with the right people to do that. Email and social media. We probably all use social media within our businesses to some degree, and whether that's seeking customers actively through Facebook or providing value and expertise as a method of doing kind of what I'm doing today, talking to people about your business and the things that they might be interested in social media. So managing your social media and online marketing, if you're trying to do it all yourself, then you're probably taking time away from doing things that would be more beneficial to your business. Work with a social media expert that can make that an automated process for you and take some of the workload off you. And your technology partner should be able to make those introductions for you. Training of staff. At the beginning of this, I talked a bit about the internal risk and clicking on links in emails and doing the wrong things. And as a result, losing your data or deleting things or causing a privacy breach. All of those things happen because of a lack of training. So yeah, a good tech partner should be able to help you train your staff on an ongoing basis as to how do I recognize the scam properly? How do I avoid falling for these tricks? What's the right way to do something in this, using Excel or Word or PowerPoint or email, or the business line application that you guys use, your ERP software? What's the right way to use this tool to be more effective and efficient and not present unnecessary risk to anything in the business? Those trainings are something that your tech partner should be able to help you to deliver, help you to create, introduce you to an organization that can help with that stuff, whether it's HR related or not. And the reality is all these things intermingle. And it's important that they're willing to work with you to plan for strategic future opportunities. So work with you to define your budget. We all have limited dollars in our pockets. So what's the most effective spend when it comes to that line item on the next year's budget or 5 years down the road? What kinds of technologies should I be investing in that will do the right things for me, and keeping the costs reasonable as well? So if you want your business to grow, a good tech partner should actually be able to help you do that. We're getting closer to the end of our time here. It's almost 10 to noon. So I would like to get to some Q&A as well. If anybody has any questions, I would say just to kind of end things, here's some contact information for us if you want to follow Five Nines on social media, whether that's Twitter or LinkedIn. And if you just need more information or want a sanity check on something, we're happy to have those conversations with you anytime using that email address on the screen. And we certainly appreciate your time today. We hope that you found some value in the conversation. And if we didn't answer your questions today or were unable to do so before the end of the call, we would be happy to do so at a time of your convenience. So reach out to us anytime and we'll do our best to get you the help you need. So I would, at this point, I'm going to end the slideshow here. And I'm going to look at the Q&A field. And if anyone has any questions, if you'd like to, I'll ask the moderator, are people able to just speak up and ask the questions, or do they need to type?
I think it would be the typing.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sorry, it would be the type. Yeah, the typing.
All right, I've switched over to my headset for the audio as well. Hopefully that'll work a little better so I can hear anyone that speaks.
Well, I would like to thank everyone for joining in today. And I just wanted to say that this is being recorded and it would be uploaded on our YouTube channel. If you want to go and look forward for the recordings, and have a wonderful day to everyone.
Awesome. Well, thanks again to the Chamber and to the Immigration Partnership. It was a pleasure to speak to you all today. And it looks like we're finished a few minutes early, so get everybody, back a few minutes in their day. We will. I look forward to hearing from any of you if you have any questions down the road. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks again.